Hello friends, welcome back again, and we are dealing with agriculture, different types of agriculture. I hope you remember what we learned in the last class. We learned about two types of agriculture. One was primitive subsistence farming, and the second one was intensive subsistence farming. So in the primitive subsistence farming, the people were not worried about the production. They were happy, they were completely depending on the climate, the monsoon, and the family will work together and produce what is required. But when after many years the population increased and the land that belongs to the family became less and less, and therefore they had to think about working extra, working overtime to produce more food. That way, in order to satisfy the hunger of the people. Now let us see about another type of farming, that is called commercial farming. From the very name we can understand what's the meaning of this type of farming. Commercial means for business. It is for selling. Not only just meant for one's own use, but it is meant for selling to others to get profit. That is called commercial farming. So you can take page number 35. So the main characteristic of this type of farming is the use of higher doses of modern inputs. Example, high yielding variety of seeds, chemical fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides in order to obtain higher productivity. The degree of commercialization of agriculture varies from one region to another. For example, rice is commercial crop in Haryana and Punjab, but in Odisha it is a subsistence crop. So this crop varies from place to place. For example, the main purpose of commercial farming is to produce more. So to produce more, what do they need to do? They need more fertilizers, pesticides, then they need insecticides, and what else? They need water, then above all they need something more called HYVCs. HYVC. What is meaning HYVCs? High yielding variety of seed. So there are seeds which will be able to produce more. Usually what the farmers in our area use is just traditional seeds. We cultivate and we take and keep some seeds for next year. So same thing we go on cultivating again and again. But using the modern technology, the scientists have developed high yielding variety of seeds. They produce the seeds by mixing with other elements, and so if you use that seed, then the production will be big. You might have seen the cabbages in the market. What people usually cultivate is a little medium size, but in the market we see very huge ones, big ones, because they are using different seeds for planting that. That's why it becomes big. So it's in the same way, if you use high yielding variety of paddy or wheat, then it will give more harvest, because that seed is specially made and it has got higher capacity. So in this commercial farming, people use all these things in order to produce more fruit. That is their intention, to produce more. So for that, whatever is required, they will do. They will be using fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, water for irrigation, then high yielding variety of seeds, and they will be using a lot of machines like tractors and harvesting machines, all that. They will be using modern technologies. They are not just satisfied with ordinary, because the production will be less. So they use better method, modern method, so that the production will be higher and higher. That is their intention. And we say it is not same everywhere. So the degree of commercialization varies from place to place. For example, rice is a commercial crop in Haryana and Punjab. So people in Haryana and Punjab, they cultivate rice for commercial purpose, for selling. They produce more than what they require and they sell it. But on the other hand, in Odisha it is a subsistence crop. But people of Odisha, they cultivate rice not for commercial purpose, not for selling purpose, but for subsistence. We learned yesterday what was subsistence. For one's own use, not for selling purpose, but for the consumption of by their own family members. So one crop may be in one place subsistence farming, in another place it may be planted as commercial farming. So in commercial farming we use all these things, and therefore the field also will be very big, the size will be very big. But in the subsistence farming, we know the land is very small plot, and we go on cultivating it there for 2 times, 3 times in a year. And subsistence commercial farming, they also produce 2 times or 3 times in a year, and they plant it normally in the big field, so that all this modern technology can be made use there. Then can you give some more examples of crops which may be commercial in one region and may provide subsistence in another region? So in some places they will be planting for commercial purpose. For example, in Uttar Pradesh there is a lot of sugarcane farmers are there. They cultivate it for selling it. They want to make sell and make money, make profit. So that is another example. So depends on the area to area. Certain area things are growing very well. In some other states the climate may not be suitable for that. Therefore the thing may not be growing there. Therefore from place to place it is different. Then plantation is also a type of commercial farming. So another type of commercial farming is called plantation. So plantation, what is plantation? It is a commercial farming, and in this type of farming a single crop is grown on a large area. You can underline what is plantation. It is a single crop that is planted in large area. Can you say an example? A single plant is made planted for a large area. Yes. Like we can say tea garden. If you look at the tea garden, it's a vast area and only tea will be planted there. They will not be planting fruit trees there or other things there. They will be planting only tea there. So something like that. Or banana garden. You can see here. Large area of banana garden. So that is a banana plantation or tea plantation and so on. So the plantation has an interface of agriculture and industry. So it has got some places we can say it is a agriculture. For some places it is like an industry. For example, in the tea garden, it is to produce tea and to sell it, to export it to other country and so on. Then plantations cover large tracts of land using capital intensive outputs. With the help of migrant laborers, all the produce is used as raw material in respective industries. So the things that are produced in these plantations, they are used for what? They are used as capital intensive inputs with the help of migrant laborers. So they need lot of laborers to work here. In the tea garden means they have to cut the leaves, they have to carry it to the factory, they have to do the processing, they have to dry it, all that. So a lot of process is there, and therefore they need lot of workers. And therefore when we learned about the Adivasis, you must remember in the class 8 we studied about in the pole science a lot about marginalization, the people who are marginalized. I hope you still remember. So lot of people were migrated from Jharkhand area to Assam, saying that there is tea garden, all can do the work and so on. So these tea gardens, they use a lot of laborers, migrant laborers coming from other places. And all the produce is used as raw material in respective industries. So that is produced in this garden, that is used as raw material for other industries. For example, the tea leaves that are produced, that is used for raw material for tea industry in order to produce beverages like tea and so on. In India, tea, coffee, rubber, sugarcane, banana, etc. are important plantation crops. You can underline what are the important plantation crops in India. What are they? In India, tea, coffee, sugarcane, rubber and banana. These are the major plantation crops in India. Tea in Assam and North Bengal, coffee in Karnataka are some of the important plantation crops grown in these states. So, which are the states very famous for plantation of tea? Assam and West Bengal. They are very famous for tea cultivation, tea plantation. Then, Karnataka is famous for what? Coffee. Coffee is grown very well in Karnataka. And since the production is mainly for market, a well-developed network of transport and communication connecting the plantation areas, processing industries and market plays an important role in the development of plantations. So we said the plantation is one of the commercial farming, and therefore the aim is to make money or profit. So in order to make maximum profit or maximum money, they had to do the coordination nicely. So there should be a lot of network of roads should be there. So things from the farm should be carried to the factory. In the factory they produce it, they pack it, then they reach it to the shops for selling and so on. So a lot of network of roads and lot of communication facilities and transportation facility, all these facilities should be available there in the plantation. Then only their cultivation will be successful, otherwise they will end up in loss. So only people who are with a lot of money, they need a lot of investment, a lot of capital is required in order to be successful in this kind of plantation. An ordinary poor farmer will not be able to manage this. So mostly this is managed by big people. Big people means rich people who have got a lot of money and so on. So you can underline what are the things that play important role in development of plantation farming. What are they? So a well-developed network of transport, then and communication, connecting the plantation areas and processing industries. So factories should be there. Then market. So it's a huge area and we will not be able to walk and go from one corner to another corner. So there should be roads in between so that they can go by vehicle and observe everywhere, and they will be able to spray medicine with a hand. If they go around spraying medicine, it will take months or weeks. So there should be some facility like helicopter in order to spray the medicine, and there should be a factory nearby, and there should be enough workers. So all this requires in order to do this plantation farming successfully. Then let us see the cropping pattern in India. How do the farmers in India do the cropping or cultivation? Cropping pattern. The cropping pattern. How do the cropping pattern is done? So in India, we farmers mostly depend on the monsoon rain. Therefore, according to the availability of the water, they will be choosing what to plant, when to plant, and so on. So let us see how the farmers are choosing the pattern. So you have studied the physical diversities and plurality of cultures in India. So earlier itself we studied about the physical features of India. All the places are not same everywhere. Some are very dry, some are getting a lot of rain, some are very watery land, some are forest areas, some are hill areas, some are plain area. So a lot of difference is there in the physical features of India. A lot of diversities are there. Then these are also reflected in agricultural practices and cropping pattern in the country. So these are also reflected in agricultural practices and cropping patterns in the country. And various types of food and fiber crops, vegetables and fruits, spices and condiments, etc., constitute some of the important crops grown in the country. And India has three cropping seasons: Rabi, Kharif, and Zaid. So you can underline which are the major cropping seasons in India. One is called Rabi, second one is Kharif, and third one is Zaid. So let us see what are the things cultivated during the Rabi season, or during Kharif season, or during Zaid season. So Rabi crops are sown in winter from October to December and harvested in summer from April to June. So the Rabi crops, the things that are planted, the vegetables or other grains that are cultivated during the Rabi season. It is a season starting from October to June. So it is planted in the winter season and it is harvested just before the summer begins. So in the month of June we get the monsoon rain. So before that the harvest will be over, the ground will be cleared to begin the next season of planting. So it is planted in the month of October, November, October to December. They will finish up the planting. Then harvesting will be done before June. And some of the important Rabi crops are wheat, barley, peas, gram, and mustard. You can underline what are the important Rabi crops in India. What are they? They are wheat, barley, peas, and gram, and mustard also. Then, though these crops are grown in large parts of India, states from north and northwestern parts such as Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh are important for the production of wheat and other Rabi crops. So which are the states that are normally following these Rabi crops? The dry states which do not have much water maybe. So places like north and northwestern parts of India such as Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. These are the states very famous for this Rabi cropping. Then availability of precipitation during winter months due to the western temperate cyclones help in the success of these crops. So during winter sometimes we get some rain, isn't it? So these crops, these farmers who are doing this Rabi crop, they also depend on this winter rain. At least few days rain they will get, and that is enough for the maturity of these crops, the Rabi crops. So the precipitation, what is precipitation? It is a water coming down, that is rain or snowfall, whatever it is, the water coming down, that is called precipitation. And if the water going up, what is it called? It is called evaporation, isn't it? So water gets evaporated and go up, and then it gets condensed and come down as precipitation, as a rain. So due to this western wind, there is always some rain is there, and because of that these farmers are happy or they are lucky. Otherwise without any water we cannot expect these crops to grow. So at least they are depending on this winter rain, and with that the crops will get matured. And however, The success of the Green Revolution in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, and parts of Rajasthan has also been an important factor in the growth of the above mentioned Rabi crops. So, we know soon after the independence, the government gave very much high importance to improving the food production, and for that they call it a method, Green Revolution. They introduced all these things what we learned in the last class. They use fertilizers, pesticides, irrigation, high yielding variety of seeds, all these modern methods they use, and the machines, the tractors, and the other things they use, and therefore, with the help of all these things, it became successful and they were able to improve the production of grains much higher than the previous years. So, that was successful. Government introduced this method of using the Green Revolution, and that was very successful, and because of that the people began to cultivate more and more. So what are the things in the places of Green Revolution? States like Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, and parts of Rajasthan. So they are all important. They proved that due to this Green Revolution, they proved that we are able to produce more by using modern technologies. Then the Kharif crops. Now we come to the second season, that is called Kharif season. So during this season, the crops are grown with the onset of monsoon in different parts of the country, and these are harvested in September, October. So the second season begins with June, and then at the end of October they will be doing the harvesting. And so important crops grown during this season are paddy, maize, jowar, bajra, tur or arhar, moong, urad, cotton, jute, groundnut and soyabean. So these are the crops that is grown during this Kharif season. So Kharif season begins with the monsoon, and so these things that are planted in the Kharif season, they need lot of water. That's why they are cultivated during monsoon season. So like paddy, they need lot of water. Paddy, what are the other things? Paddy, maize, jowar, bajra, tur, moong, urad, cotton, jute and groundnut and soyabean. All these are planted during this Kharif season, which begins with the coming of the monsoon, and with the help of this monsoon rain, these crops get matured, and by October they finish up the harvesting. Then some of the most important rice growing regions are Assam, West Bengal, coastal regions of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Maharashtra. Particularly the Konkan coast along with the Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So, which are the places where these crops are grown, especially the rice? The kharif, one of the important kharif crop is rice. So, which are the states growing rice very well? States like Assam, West Bengal, then coastal regions of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Maharashtra, and also the Konkan coast along with Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. These are the states where rice is cultivated and produced. Then recently, paddy has also become an important crop of Punjab and Haryana. So older times, Punjab and Haryana, they were mainly concentrating on cultivation of wheat. That is one crop? Rabi crop, because there is a dry season. So nowadays they also started changing from wheat to rice, or they started cultivating both. And in states like Assam, West Bengal and Odisha, 3 crops of paddy are grown in a year. So these places like West Bengal, Assam and Odisha, they don't have much winter season. They experience summer most of the times of the year. So therefore, in a year 3 times they cultivate paddy. So that is wonderful. That is intensive cultivation. The same land they cultivate 3 times. That means water is available for cultivation of paddy. Therefore, they cultivate 3 times in a year. So irrigation facility they may be making use. Then these are owls, aman and boro. So each crops they call it by different name. First time what they cultivate rice is called owls. When they cultivate second time which is called aman, and third time in a year when they cultivate rice it is called boro. So 3 times they cultivate and each time they call different name for that season. So first one will be owls. Second one is aman, third one is boro. Then in between the Rabi and the Kharif season, there is a short season during the summer months known as Said season. So we come to the third season. What is third season? The name is Said. So it is coming between the Kharif season and the Rabi season. So it is very short season. And some of the crops produced during Said are watermelon, muskmelon, cucumber, vegetables and fodder crops. And sugarcane takes almost a year to grow. So there is a little gap between the Rabi crops and Rabi season and the Kharif season. Maybe 2 months, 3 months time may be there. So that time the farmers will try to plant something more to fill up that gap. They don't want to leave the land empty. So the things that can be harvested within 2 months or 3 months they will try to plant there, like cabbage, cucumber and so on. There, watermelon, all these things are planted there. So during Said season we don't plant food crops like paddy, maize or rice and so on. That is planted in other season. But during this Said season, which is a very short season, and the people are cultivating crops like watermelon, muskmelon, cucumber, vegetables and fodder crops. What is fodder crops? Crops that are cultivated for feeding the animals. Fodder means food for the animals. So it is cultivated for animals. And some places they cultivate sugarcane. So sugarcane it needs throughout the year. It takes at least 1 year for growing up. If you want to cut the sugarcane, you have to wait for 1 year. So where they plant sugarcane, it remains for the whole year. So we cannot have different pattern there. Rabi crops and Kharif crops are not possible because sugarcane takes such a long time for harvesting. So that is how the people are cultivating different things in different parts of India. So some places there will not be winter as such. If you go to South India, there is no winter as such. It is summer throughout. Therefore, they will be able to cultivate. If there is water, they can cultivate paddy 2 times or 3 times in a year. But if you go to north where there is severe winter, then they cannot cultivate paddy in the winter season. Paddy will not grow. So they will cultivate wheat. Wheat is growing in the winter. And they depend on this little rain that comes during the winter season for the growth of for the sufficient water supply for these crops and so on. Then Said season, what are the things they plant? Small items that will get matured very fast, like vegetables, cucumber, watermelon, all these things are planted, and also some fodder for the animals are cultivated during this short period of time. Then if they cultivate sugarcane, then it will remain for the whole year. They cannot harvest after 3 months and then try for another one. Then it will not be ready. Sugarcane takes such a long time, at least 1 year it takes. So we shall wind it up today. I hope you are following it nicely. So a lot of names are there, a lot of states are mentioned here which are practicing different type of cultivation. So try to learn this, understand nicely, read it several times and try to keep it in your memory. Don't just be satisfied by reading once or just by listening to the video, but read your textbook nicely and try to understand it and make it part of your knowledge. Okay, then only you can really be thorough with it. So when the final exam comes, it will be easy for you to recollect and write nicely again. So don't forget about reading. Read nicely, take a lot of time, read, understand and read. Not just going on reading for the sake of reading, but understand and read. Okay, so we'll meet again in the next class and we'll learn about about different types of crops that are planted in India, and we'll see in the next class. Okay then, bye.